Hey, you. So glad you're here. I want to talk about goals today. And the title here is kind of fun. Give me 20 minutes and I'll give you a BHAG. BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, coined from Good to Great with Jim Collins. And do you have a BHAG for this year yet? I'm curious. Did you set one? Whenever you're listening to this, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. And I'm curious, is there something that feels super, super stretchy for you? Or do you have what I call a ho-hum goal for 2023, which might be like, here's an example. I want to lose 10 pounds. Classic example. That to me is a ho-hum goal. Sure, it's a stretch, but it's also probably pretty obtainable. 10 pounds over 12 months. I'm not saying anything about more to lose or anything like that, but the idea is that if we are setting goals, why not set a big, hairy, audacious goal? Because you're already putting the effort in. And we all know that most of the goals that we do set anyway go by the wayside about 1 to 2 months after setting them. That's just the reality, right? So we hear all those New Year's resolutions, and the time March rolls around, maybe most of us have not really done much or kind of forgot about stuff. So the other part about goals is they can be really inspiring and also feel a little scary, right? Especially if they're a BHAG. And I think about being a leader, and when I set ho-hum goals for myself, and believe me, I set them, there's nothing wrong with these kinds of goals. I think it's good to have both, but we get into the cycle of what I call the 3Ds. Do you know what the 3Ds are? Could you guess what they are? Drained, depleted, and or deadened. There you go. 3Ds: drained, depleted, and or deadened. And that is a cycle, right? So then we're like, oh, all right, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds. All right, I guess I'm gonna go to the gym. Ah, man, I don't really feel like going to the gym. And maybe that's not every day, but you get the idea, right? So I say this year, go for a BHAG for your own, for yourself, whatever that is for you, like a personal BHAG. What could propel you to truly feel excited, inspired, and really shine bright in a way you haven't yet experienced, at least this year, right? Good to Great came after Built to Last, by the way. I forgot about that. So Jim Collins and Jerry Porras wrote Built to Last. That's where the term BHAG comes from. So, I think about BHAGs because you could set them as a team, like you could have a whole team collaborate and connect over what are we going to do this year that's knocking it out of the park. And maybe you've got restricted budget or time or resources. All fine. What's your BHAG in your personal life? And you can all kind of have that and share it. Or maybe there's something that you could do as a team that would not, within the realm of what you have as resources. That's the thing. We can be creative with it. But when we do it, when we set these BHAGs for us, I think it's a good reminder for ourselves to know that, you know what, like I can still do incredible stuff. So it helps us get out of a funk, or maybe feel like we are in a depleted cycle. We get out of that thinking loops that never end. It's like the chronic, okay, like the same thoughts over and over again, right? And it ends that because now you can do something that really feels good, right? And so here's the other part of this that I think is so important. And this is pay attention worthy importance. The research tells us that when we set lofty goals, like when we do BHAGs for ourselves, we are more likely to get closer to it than when we set normal ho-hum goals. In other words, if I say I'm gonna, if I say I'm gonna go travel around the world, I'm more likely to get closer to that than saying I'm going to travel to France, although I really want to go to France. And why is that? Well, it's because we're reaching farther, like we're doing more for it. If we take our goals seriously, right? If I was really serious about traveling around the world, I'd be planning, I'd be budgeting, I'd be scheming things around, and then it would probably happen. And that all that information would be the same to probably take to go to France. So why not have a bigger goal? Right. And so I call them break the mold BHAGs. So when you have a break the mold, big goal, they help you continue to create and keep new habits that have a positive impact on you meaning your productivity and performance. You're inspired, you're motivated. You're like, wow, am I really going to climb Mount Everest or whatever? That's a big BHAG if you were to climb Mount Everest. Maybe it's run your first marathon, right? And you're not a runner. Like that's a huge BHAG. Maybe it's to visit 10 offices and, like do your presentation there, if that's something that's on your radar. It allows you to achieve what you thought wasn't achievable. I think the big crux here is knowing you're stretching beyond what your limits think you can do. And that's why the BHAG is audacious. It's like, whoa, am I really doing this? Yeah. And then you're more likely to do it. And that's what that is so cool, right? Like Olympic athletes, they have their sights set on the Olympics, right? A minimum, because that's their intention and that's where they're going. But if they had set their sights on the state meet and not maybe had any farther goals, maybe they wouldn't have gotten to where they were today, right? We don't know. So it reignites our excitement, it reignites our passion. And as we venture into that new territory and we bust out of this mental framework we keep ourselves in, right? That mental model where we think, okay, well, I only have like 10 vacation days. So I don't think traveling around the world is going to work. I'm not even going to go there. I don't know, maybe you can figure out a creative way to do that and work remotely for a little bit. Or maybe you can go 10 days and travel around the world and still have a great time. It's probably less money that way. So for you, what is your one BHAG that you want to go for in 2023? What would it be? Next year, whatever that is, or this year, I should say, don't settle for ho-hum, go for the BHAG. And this is when you embrace your emotional intelligence, your self-awareness to know, hey, I got this. I want to I'm excited to stretch. And you'd be amazed at what happens after that, right? We don't know how we're going to do it. If you're going to run that marathon, you don't know how you're going to train. You don't know how you're going to freaking run 26.2 miles. I did that 3 times. I'm never doing it again, by the way. 3 times is enough. But they were BHAGs for me, especially the first one. Well, the first one was, I guess the other 2 were like, because I'd done it, it wasn't a BHAG, it was just a goal. But that first one was monstrous. But it was so exciting to get there. And so that's what it's all about, you guys, as leaders, setting these for ourselves and for those who are in our world, whether it's for the company or for our team or for your family, right? This is heart-based leadership, I think, if I were to name that. And BHAGs are worth setting because you're worth it. And I think that's the way to end. Drop me a line if you concur. What's your BHAG? I would love to know what your BHAGs are this year. Drop them in. And if you don't have one yet, let me know what it is. Leave me a message or a note. It would be so fun to hear what they are. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.